Welcome to This Week from Blue Mountain Broadcasting. I'm your host, Lynelle Ellis, and I'm so glad that you tuned in to the show today. I'm going to be interviewing Matt Webster, who is with the Center for Media Ministry at Walla Walla University, and he has got some exciting projects to tell us about, ones I know you will want to learn more about. And also, we'll be sharing some good things with you during station news. And to begin with, let's start now with our devotional thought. What do you have in your hand? That is a question that God asked Moses. And today, during our devotional time, we're going to be looking at two stories from the Bible. One from the life of Moses, and one during the time that Jesus was here on earth. So an Old Testament story and a New Testament one, but both having to do with what do we have in our hand that we can offer to God. Perhaps you have wondered what you could give, how you could really do something for Him, how you could make a difference for His kingdom. This has certainly been on my heart ever since I was a young child. What could I do? How could I make a difference for God's kingdom? And very quickly we realize how little we actually have, how little we have to offer to God in our humanness and in our frailty. And so today I think and I hope that these two stories will encourage us with what it is we actually can do for God's kingdom. The first one, you need to, if you want to follow along with me, you would need to turn to Exodus chapter 4. We're going to be looking at this encounter that God has with Moses. So this in chapter 4, we've just had Moses seeing the burning bush, and he's moved toward it and all of those things that happen as he's starting to connect with God there. And then God is saying to him that he's giving him a call, that he wants him to come. Then Moses answered and said, this is verse 1, "But suppose they will not believe me," they being the Egyptians or the Israelites there, "or listen to my voice. Suppose they say, 'The Lord has not appeared to you.' So the Lord said to him, 'What is that you have in your hand?' And he said, 'A rod.' And he said," that's God, "'Cast it on the ground.' So he cast it on the ground, and it became a serpent, and Moses fled from it. Then the Lord said to Moses, 'Reach out your hand and take it by the tail.' And he reached out his hand and caught it, and it became a rod in his hand, that they may believe that the Lord God of their fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, has appeared to you." And we know God asked Moses what he had. What do you have there? Moses only had one thing in his hand. He had this shepherd's rod that he was using, his staff. And so that's what God used to work this miracle of turning it to a snake and then back to a rod again. And when Moses got to Egypt, God used that rod in Moses' hand to perform all kinds of amazing miracles. The 10 plagues that came upon Egypt and more things that went on and happened after that, all the way through the journey of the Israelites out of Egypt and to the promised land. And it wasn't that there was something so amazing about this stick that Moses was carrying. It wasn't a magic stick or a special stick. And it wasn't that Moses was so special. He was just reluctantly willing, and I say reluctantly because if you go on reading this story, you see just how reluctant he was, to the point that God got a little frustrated with him at one point and just wanted him to trust God. I'll take you, even if you stutter and you stammer and you don't speak very well. I want you to come and lead my people. What I need is somebody willing. And Moses ended up to be one of those super willing people, very humble, totally dedicated to God. He became a pillar of faith. That's who Moses became. And this rod, again, wasn't magic, but it was what he had. And God took what he had and did something amazing with it. And the thing to keep in mind here is that it was God that did the amazing thing. It was God that took whatever was in Moses' hand. So now let's turn forward a lot of years, thousands of years, to New Testament times, to the time of Jesus. Jesus is ministering. He's been ministering around the region of Galilee, etc. And at one point, he is preaching and preaching and preaching to a very large crowd of people that just keeps growing bigger and bigger and bigger. And these people are so engaged in what Jesus is saying that they do not plan ahead or plan for how they are going to get something to eat. And so we end up with over 5,000 people, 5,000 men, plus women and children, who are there on a mountainside, on a hillside, with nothing to eat. So we're going to Mark chapter 6 right now. This is verse 30. Then the apostles gathered to Jesus and told him all things, both what they had done and what they had taught. And he said to them, "Come aside by yourselves to a deserted place and rest a while." For there were many coming and going, and they did not even have time to eat. So they departed to a deserted place in the boat by themselves. But the multitudes saw them departing, and many knew him and ran there on foot from all the cities. They arrived before them and came together to him. And Jesus, when he came out, saw a great multitude and was moved with compassion for them, because they were like sheep, not having a shepherd. So he began to teach them many things. When the day was now far spent, his disciples came to him and said, "This is a deserted place, and already the hour is late. Send them away that they may go into the surrounding country and villages and buy themselves bread, for they have nothing to eat." But he answered and said to them, "You give them something to eat." And they said to him, "Shall we go and buy 200 denarii worth of bread and give them something to eat?" But he said to them, "How many loaves do you have? Go and see." And when they found out, they said, 5 and 2 fish. And we know what happened from here. He multiplied the loaves, the fish, and fed those, I don't even know how many people, 5,000 men, plus their whole families, with those 2 loaves and fish. But look at the similarity of this question. Back at the time of Moses, God said to Moses, "What do you have in your hand?" And it was this rod. And here Jesus says, this is God speaking again, "How many loaves do you have?" What is it you have? What is it you have in your hand? Is it 5 loaves and 2 fish? Not even enough to feed your family? What is it that you have? Give it to God, and he is the one who will make it something great, who will multiply and do something amazing with it. If you bring your 2 loaves and your 5 fish, he's the one who works the miracle. He's the one who does the work. It's not that those fish and loaves were somehow magical. They weren't. Like the rod, they weren't magical. But God could do something incredible with them. And so our challenge today, if we want to do something for God, we love him, we want to give something back to his kingdom, we just bring what's in our hand. And say to God, "This is me. I have this little bit. This is all I have, but it's yours. Please do something amazing with it." That's what he's looking for. He's looking for willing hearts, people with a passion to serve him. Bring whatever it is you have, and he's the one who does the miracle. Stay tuned. I'll be right back. Welcome back. Joining me now is Matt Webster, Production and Facilities Manager at Walla Walla University for the Center for Media Ministry and our Communication and Languages Department.
Yes, thanks for having me back, Lynelle.
It is great to have you again on the show, Matt. I love talking about the projects that the Center for Media Ministry is working on. And I know I kind of wear 2 hats, hosting this show here for Blue Mountain Broadcasting, but also as the director for the Center for Media Ministry at Walla Walla University. So the 2 of us get to work together a lot to help students get involved in exciting projects. And I think that our audience is going to be fascinated by some of the projects that are coming up that students are working on. So why don't we start by talking about one called Just As I Am?
Yes, so Just As I Am is a partnership that we get to have. Our audience here might know a little bit about Hope Channel.
Yes.
Hope Channel has started a new arm of itself called Hope Studios, which is focusing more on episodic content and dramatic content as well. So it's something brand new that they're starting there, and we've been in great communication and partnership with them since they've started. But Just As I Am, it's going to be a 10 episodic episode series,
Yes.
focusing on testimonials, but these are not just your normal testimonials. These are testimonials about people whose faith have been rocked to their core.
Okay, these are some heavy stories.
These are very heavy stories, very difficult content as well that we're dealing with, but it's something that we feel that we need to connect with our audience with, and it's the mission of Hope Studios to connect with a broader audience and an audience even outside the church.
Sure. So these kind of stories would help people from all kinds of experiences and walks of life, even people who've been through some of life's toughest stuff, to be able to say, look, if God could get into this person's life and make a difference, it could happen for me.
Exactly. And that's the stories that we really are focusing on within this series. We really want to tell, we really want to connect with people, because we want to tell the stories that really matter and really connect with people, so they start asking those questions about faith, about God. And that's really that's how we want to connect with them, and also bring them in if they have questions. So
now, this whole series was inspired by a short film that both of us got to see at the Sunscreen Film Festival last year.
Yeah, so the first kind of episode that's going to be in it is that pilot episode. The first one we got to see at Sunscreen Film Festival last year. For those of the audience that doesn't know, Sunscreen Film Festival is a film festival that the North American division of the Seventh-day Adventist Church puts on every year, brings in tons of content from different universities that have film programs, and even professionals in Adventism that work in the film industry bring their projects in as well. I got to see this project last year. It was great, and I also had a personal connection with it because one of my former students from Hawaii who went through Southern's film program made this as their senior project. And
it's pretty exciting.
It was very exciting because getting to see where he started and where he is now within working and see this project really, as me being a mentor and a teacher where he's been, really blew me away. And it was also a great opportunity to start talking to Hope Studios about possibly making this a project and something we could do longer.
And they are. And I think we're just so excited that Hope Studios has, they choose various entities, various universities to partner with them on different projects, and they've asked us to be a partner for this one here at Walla Walla University. So it's a great opportunity for our students. When is production happening for Just As I Am?
So Just As I Am, we're waiting on a few details right now, but we hope to be filming this summer sometime. We don't have the exact dates yet. There's a few other productions that are in line with Hope Studios that need to be figured out, but we should have an answer here hopefully within the next 2 to 3 weeks. But production is scheduled to start sometime, I could say, July, August this summer, where we begin production, and you should start seeing this at the beginning of next year.
All right, on the Hope Channel?
Possibly on the Hope Channel.
Okay, or other outlets as well?
Other outlets as well, because with what Hope Studios is doing is also reaching out to beyond just our normal connections with other streaming platforms as well to get these stories out.
Yeah, and really, you know, the thing that I know interests both of us so much about this particular show is that these are stories about God, really, about how he has intervened and done amazing things in people's lives. It's pretty incredible. And we already, I think you've got a list of individuals who are being lined up.
Yeah, we're currently in development with that right now. We're still in that development process. And the big thing that we actually did notice is we need more stories from women. That's something that we really need. We're still searching and finding as we are talking right now. So even if there's any ideas, like even if our audience has ideas of people who have testimonies, we're open to have those as well. And if they have ideas, feel free to contact the Center for Media Ministry.
All right. And Center for Media Ministry, you can reach them through the Communication and Languages Department at Walla Walla University. So, or reach out to me or to you.
Correct.
And we would be happy to have some of those ideas for sure. And this is going to provide an opportunity for students who are taking the film, television media major at Walla Walla University to actually get some really great hands-on experience working on a real production. So pretty cool.
Yes.
Really great. And we are also working in a partnership here at the Center for Media Ministry with the Center for Humanitarian Engagement at Walla Walla University, which is all about service to our community. Tell us about that show.
So we got to debut over the holidays, Generosity.
Yes.
We got to show our pilot episode. It took some time to do because this was the first time. Our audience might have remembered UView, which used to be our show that we produced here with the students at the university, but we transitioned that into more going out into the community rather than being here just in the studio, showing what the Center for Humanitarian Engagement is doing, and also the generosity in the community, just showing it doesn't have to be about giving money, it's just about service in general.
Yes.
And we got to show that within our first episode, our fall and spring service days that happened this last school year. And we are currently working on episode 2 right now, talking about the hail recovery that's going on up in Wallowa, and what's going on up there. We just filmed that about 2 weeks ago. Got to go up there, and we're also starting on episode 3, where in 4 weeks here, we're heading to Guatemala.
Yeah, you're going, Matt.
Yes.
And some students.
Yes, we're taking a production crew of 2 students and myself, and we're going to film a project that CHE is working on in Guatemala, with David Lopez leading that trip out.
Yes, and we're really, really excited about that. It's going to be a very special episode of Generosity to be focusing on this trip, on this mission trip. I think partnering with Loma Linda University as well.
Correct.
On that trip. So our audience can really know that some pretty exciting episodes of Generosity are coming up, and we do air that on Blue Mountain Television.
Correct.
So in fact, that's the primary outlet for the Generosity show, so some good things going with that. Once again, excited about getting students involved in this stuff.
Exactly. No, we're happy to get students involved because our goal is when the students leave our department, that they have that experience. So when they go out and are looking for jobs, they can say, I've done this before. I know how to do live production. I know how to go on the run, especially Generosity is that type of show.
Yes.
Or I know how to shoot a documentary or a
narrative.
Or a narrative piece. Yeah, we want them to have that experience. And that's what the Center of Media Ministry is providing students here at Walla Walla University.
Yes. Now, those 2 projects we just talked about are both documentary of one style or another. One maybe a little more narrative type documentary than the other, but certainly in that category. And when we talk about narrative, we're talking about more drama, more dramatic kind of production. And we're also working on a project in that area at the Center for Media Ministry.
Yes. So it was a goal of us in the Communication Language Department, especially in our Film, TV, and Media Department, to do what's called a project every 4 summers or every 4 years.
Large summer project.
Large summer project every 4 years. That way our students can get an opportunity to see what it is to work on a professional set once while they're here during their 4 years. So we decided to put that into practice this summer.
This will be the first one.
This will be the first one. We can't talk much about it right now. We can talk a little bit about it because there's been tons of miracles on it already. We've been in this for about a year and a half now, trying to getting everything off the ground, getting everything
the
ready.
reason we can't talk about it is because we're trying to protect the creative property.
Correct.
And so we have non-disclosure agreements that we've signed. So like we can't say the name of it or specifics about the story and those sorts of things. We can say that the writer of it is a graduate from both our undergraduate and our master's degree here at Walla Walla University, and we're so proud of her.
Correct. Josie Henderson. We're so proud of her and everything that she has done and even written this story. We're so excited about this story and even the opportunities that we have with what we're doing. We're bringing in 5 professionals to help our students out with this project. We're flying them here to Walla Walla, and the students get to learn underneath these professionals who work
on a real set.
On real sets, and they get to learn under them, and that's what we're really excited about, is we can bring in these professionals. The students can learn and see what a professional set is while learning here at the university.
I think we can also say that this is a period piece. We can also say that it's set somewhere fairly local. So there's just a lot of exciting things about this locale related to it, and also about doing something that's not set in the present day. Has also its challenging and fun elements.
So one thing we can give out and talk a little bit about, one of the locations that we're looking at right now. We are looking at a location up in Dayton, Dayton, Washington. There's a old train depot up there, and we hope to film one of our scenes up there.
This is one of our miracles.
This was one of our miracle stories because we were just like, we need this time period and everything, and the Dayton depot worked well. But even the relationship, talking with the Dayton depot, we've been looking for a train car forever. We couldn't find a train car.
We thought we were going to just do the scene differently.
Correct.
Yeah.
And we were even going that way, and the person at the Dayton Historical Society was like, well, what year do you need? And we were like, early 1900s. They're like, does 1910 work? And we were like, what? So we're getting into these connections, talking with people right now. There's a lot of things still to put into stone. but we're seeing where God's leading and helping us find these connections so we can make this at the top level as possible, the top craftsmanship level, to show what our program really can do.
Yeah, and speaking about God leading, that's also on the financial side. At the Center for Media Ministry, it's been our responsibility and mine and ours really kind of together to make sure that we have the funds to do, because this level of production, which would be kind of what we would consider Hollywood style level production, is very, very expensive. And so even to do this short bit of it that we're doing, which is a proof of concept to be able to illustrate how the whole series could be made, it costs a lot of money. And so we've been really grateful for some partnerships there too, with some local entities and also with the North American division of Seventh-day Adventists.
Yes, especially with partnership through them. We're really blessed to have the North American division helping us with this project because of what they believe, specifically in the communications department there, because they're related with Sunscreen Film Festival as well.
Yes.
And the directors there, Julio Munoz, really helping out, and we're really happy that he is helping us out and being able to bring this project to life.
Yeah, there's also a common interest there with the Sunscreen Film Festival and the North American division in really helping young filmmakers to grow and to make projects that are worthwhile. And so they've really gotten behind this project in that way as well, to tell some stories that will, and I know we can't talk about the story specifically, but you need to know as an audience that this is a story that's going to make an impact on people in an engaging and entertaining way, but to help them think about, I don't want to give anything away, but help them to think about really important things we should be thinking about now from a biblical perspective.
Correct.
So, yeah.
No, so we're super excited for this, and we are happy to see where it goes and possibly get picked up later by possibly a bigger production company. So
yeah, that would be very exciting because again, this is a proof of concept, which means that it's to say this is what it will look like, this is what it can look like, and then that helps you find larger distributing companies, larger funding companies that might be interested in turning it into an actual series.
Correct.
That would really reach a lot of people, potentially huge audiences.
Yes.
So pretty exciting stuff that we're working on. We just call it the summer project.
Yes.
So, and speaking of that, we are going to be filming locally. Are there some ways that our community can be involved?
Yes. The big thing that we're really focusing on right now, there's two logistics that we're looking at, and because as you said, this is not a cheap project to do. This is a pretty highly expensive project for the level we're doing.
Yes.
The ways that the community can get involved, housing. The big thing right now is housing. We're looking at housing compared to hotel costs right now. Is if they want to host either students or even our crew coming, we could use help in that area of being hospitable and being able to host the crew in your house during the 2 weeks. And this is right after our graduation here at Walla Walla University, so like June 11th through the 26th is when we're having this production happen.
Yeah.
So we're looking about 2 weeks here of
so
housing.
We're looking for people that might have a spare room that's not being used, people that might have a small attached apartment that's not being used during that second couple of weeks of June, something like that. I know that we want to have a space for our crew, and that they have enough space to have a moment by themselves wherever they're staying, for sure. But that would save us so much if we could have some spaces. Also, I think we're working on the food delivery as well.
Yes, we're looking into different ways of how we can feed our crew. You want a happy crew on set, and food is the way to make sure that they're keep going, and make sure that they're good to go, and that they're fed nutritiously as well. So that's something we're really focusing on, is meals. If people can help out with meals, help us do a lunch and a dinner, because we're going to be working about 12-hour days. So
yeah, we are. There'll be long days, intense days, about 10 days of actual filming.
Correct.
Plus some setups and that sort of thing. So yeah, very, very exciting things coming up for the Center for Media Ministry. And I need to say, Matt, that the connections that you have through the places you've worked, the places you've gone to school, have been so helpful to us here at the Center for Media Ministry. And your joy and motivation at making these connections and getting projects to happen is just thrilling. It's really, really exciting. It's exciting for our students. It's exciting for me. And hopefully our viewers too are kind of catching the joy of what we're working on.
Yeah, and no, I'm happy to bring them here, was glad to bring them here, and just excited to see where the Center for Media Ministry is going and what could come out of these projects as well.
Absolutely. Well, thanks again, Matt. Appreciate you taking some time.
Yeah, again, thank you for having me.
And stay tuned. I'll be right back. Welcome back. Time for Station News. I've got to tell you about some more painting that's happening at the Wallula facility. You know that we're moving everybody over there. We've got a couple of people to kind of get permanently moved over to the Wallula facility now. And one of the things we needed to do in order to make that happen was to get the editing room painted so that it's the same color as the rest of the building that we've been working on, and not that kind of funny blue that it was before. And that just happened yesterday. So thank you to some incredible volunteers who came on a holiday and painted that room for us. So that's a quick and exciting update. And then also, speaking of volunteers, I just wanted to say a huge thank you. We have had a number of people recently volunteering to do some amazing things at Blue Mountain Broadcasting and at our Wallula facility. We've just had someone volunteer to help us with landscaping, and that is awesome. And also we have several volunteers who are going to be coming in to help us sit at the front of the building in the afternoon hours. And so thank you to each of you as well. There are a lot of volunteer opportunities at the ministry. You certainly can reach out to us at 509-529-9149 if you might be interested in being a volunteer as well. And we promise to keep you updated about projects as we go along and where we need your help. We also need your financial gifts, of course, as we are really working on some expensive equipment improvements that we need in order to move everything over to the Wallula facility. So thank you for those. Thank you for your prayers for Blue Mountain Broadcasting, for Blue Mountain Television, and thanks for telling other people about this important community station. Thank you for tuning in this time, and I will see you next time.